Happy New Year. Let's do some black people shit. So I'm in my yard right now, prepping the garden beds, getting everything ready for spring. I started some seeds yesterday. I'm going to show you the different things that I've done in the yard to get ready, and hopefully it'll help you figure out what you need to do to get ready. Before, after. You can't tell, but after I turned this earth, I planted some fava beans. It's a bit late in my season for where I live in Zone A to plant the fava. Ideally, I should have put them in like October, but my goal isn't to have a high harvest of fava beans. Favas lock nitrogen into the soil. So yes, it would be nice to get some good favas. I do have time in the cool season for the fava to potentially produce some good fava beans for me. But what I really want the plant to do is grow, lock some nitrogen into the soil, and then when it's done, I'm not even going to pull them out. I'm going to chop the plants down, till them into the soil, and then I'm going to go over this with some other fresh new soil, all of those good nutrients working, doing their thing in the soil. Let me show you what else I got. And this area is where a lot of my raised beds are. I had a bunch of these already set up, and I'm also expanding what I'm doing. I have these buckets that I'm adding here and here. I also added this guy, all of these guys, and a couple of buckets right here. In addition to that, I have this long bed that's here. I have these guys that are here, and I have this set up here. I originally built this to be a reptile playpen. We don't need to get into that. We don't need to talk about what that means. It's exactly what it sounds like. But I've been thinking more and more about maybe converting it into a raised bed. It's huge. I think it would make a great raised bed, but I don't know. We'll see. So I do have more prep work to do. I have beds in the front yard. I haven't shown you guys that I've been working on. Beds over there, as well as beds on the other side of the yard that I've been working on as well. I'll show you all of that when I do a full tour video of what's happening in the garden. Inside, I also have my seed starts going. And I think for you guys that are maybe new to gardening, and you're really curious about trying out growing your own food, right now, January is a good time to start thinking about how you want to do these things. Getting your seed starts going. Right now, I have my tomatoes inside started, as well as my peppers. I have my pepper plants from last season, as well as my eggplant inside overwintering. And it's a good time to start laying the groundwork for yourself so that you can have, oh, hello, cloud coming in. Nice. So that you can have like a successful season or set yourself up for success. Last year I had a horrible season with tomatoes, and it's because I didn't approach it mindfully. I just put the seeds in the ground and hope for the best. They needed more nurturing than that. And with that said, one of the things I noticed, one of the messages I want to stop in with today is one of the things I noticed with YouTube and internet, social media folks in general that make content around gardening is that they underemphasize the amount of effort and work you have to put into this. Gardening isn't incredibly difficult, but it also isn't incredibly easy. And folks step into this space and then they don't have success, and then they give up because so-and-so put some seeds in the ground, got an amazing plant, and they just feel like this isn't for them. And actually, like all things in life, it takes real work and effort to get good product out of your growing season. And also, you'll have bad seasons. Last year I had a bad season for my tomatoes and my cucumbers, which are two plants that I usually have really good success with. So you have to also be willing to understand and understand yourself and be patient and kind with yourself as well. I think another thing that I don't see people talk enough about is, what are your whys? Our ancestors grew food out of necessity. This was where our food came from. And I think for me, I also feel as though growing my own food is a necessity. We can't trust our food systems. I'm not trying to sound like a crazy conspiracy theorist, but the reality is that there's so much stuff in our food, even our whole foods, our produce, that is not good for us. Our government recently approved a pesticide that has forever chemicals in it to be used in our potatoes and our greens. And if you're not following news cycles, you may not even know that. That's one of the reasons why I'm expanding my potato growing to probably double, maybe even triple what I was doing last season. I had a pretty good season with potatoes last season because I want to be making sure that this necessity of life, growing food, is doing what it's supposed to do, bringing health and help to my body, nourishment to the body of the folks that I care about, and not harm. Right? So understanding what's your whys. My other why is that, and I will talk about this more in like other videos, but for me, it's really important to have a connection to my food cycle and where it comes from. I grew up with this gift from my mother where she grew our fruits and vegetables, where I could walk out into the yard and pick satsuma. And I never had to, I didn't really think about how significant that was. And now as an adult, I realize just how significant it is to be able to have such a connection to your food and where it comes from and that full cycle of things. And for me, it is part survival, it's part health, but it's also part spiritual, being connected to the earth, the land, the plants that give us life and nourishment. Folks don't think about plants in this way. They think of mammals, animals as having lives, having consciousness, having all of these different things that we associate with something to give empathy and understanding to. And we don't think of our plants in those same ways, but the reality is that plants are also living, breathing organisms. And I want to treat that process, that cycle of birth and death and all of those things, with the same amount of respect that I treat living animal lives that I consume as well. So I'll talk about this more. This probably sounded a little confusing, this part of the video, but I'll talk about this more in other videos, how I see these practices for anyone who's interested in that, right? So yeah, that's what it's looking like in this yard right now. I'm pretty excited about the upcoming growing season. My garlic right there doing its thing, and what is going to be happening in all of these different beds across the entirety of this yard. Until next time, I'm out of here.